Hey guys, it's me again, Simon. Long time no hear. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an update what happened the last few months and also what I have planned for this year. It's nothing great, but I still wanted to make a video and prepare you for March, which might be a very interesting month for you out there. But yeah, let's do it step by step. So first of all, I made how you call it, a comment post on my YouTube channel where I ask if I should make some IntelliJ productivity videos or shorts. And actually, a lot of people liked them. And I wanted to do them, but at the time when I wanted to start recording them, I actually sold my old PC and I wanted to record it then with my notebook. But on my notebook, the microphone is not working because I'm running on Linux on my notebook. And for whatever reason, Linux cannot detect my microphone. And therefore, I couldn't record the videos. But now, since December, I have a new computer again. And now everything is working again. I'm using Windows, as you can see. And I want to do the YouTube videos the YouTube shorts with the IntelliJ productivity tips in March. Because normally when my wife and my son are at home, then I don't have a lot of time for recording stuff. And when I have some time on my private computer, I usually do some gaming nowadays to relax a little bit. But in March, my wife and my son, they are not here for 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And there I will have some time for some YouTube short videos. And there I will make those IntelliJ videos. So they are not forgotten. They will just need some time. But in about 2 months, you will see them. Next, I wanted to thank the community for my open source FLEKS entity component system because there were a lot of contributions in the last couple of months. And also here, I don't have a lot of time to contribute myself, but I always go over the pull requests and the issues if people are raising something and I try to help. And if it's something really small, then I try to edit myself. But besides that, really a lot of members, you can see it in the changelog. There are always some mentions for different people and they are also mentioned as contributors then there below. So a lot of people helped there to add some cool functionalities to FLEKS in my opinion. Like there is now a safe way to reference entities in components, which is very cool. Then we also have entity tags now, which is basically a component without any data. So it's just an information like is a unit visible or is it a player or whatever. So it's a very simple thing to tag an entity, which is internally stored in a more efficient way and can also be accessed faster in FLEKS, which is also quite cool. Then we had the guy which is making the GDX lift off setup that we are always using in the tutorial series. He also contributed and increased the performance of the bit array class quite a lot, which is used internally also. And he also added FLEKS now to the GDX lift off setup as well. So there you can, I think under third-party library, if I'm not mistaken, there you can now also add FLEKS directly, and then it will be added automatically to your project. So that is really cool. And I also want to thank the people out there which are helping with this library and which are using it. It's really a fun project for me that I worked on that I started it, and also that people use it and that they want to make it also better themselves, which is really cool. Then I did a little experiment. So actually I had a talk with a friend and he told me that he's waking up now, I think 4:30 in the morning, because then he has 2 or 3 hours before his wife and son wake up, and there he's super productive and can do certain things. And I tried the same. So for I think 2 or 3 weeks, I was also waking up at 5 in the morning and worked on a dungeon crawler project again, which I did already in the past. So there was already a dungeon crawler game finished by me. There was a devlog YouTube series as well for that. But what I didn't like about that one is that it did not have completely random dungeons. So it was more like predefined maps and they were randomly chosen which one you got. And I also want to try out tiled-based movement. So instead of the free movement that we always used in the tutorial series, I wanted to have a tile-based movement, like maybe you know Lufia 2 from the Super Nintendo Entertainment System back then. And yeah, so there I was motivated to do something, but this project is, let's not call it that. It's I renamed it, so it's now like a proof of concept. You can find it on GitHub. I will add the link in the video description below. And it has certain features in it that I never realized so far. And I want to keep that, so in case I need it again, then I have a reference project where I can look up certain things. And to show you what I did there really quickly, so there's a test source set where I can quickly test the different stuff that I added to the game. So one of them is this map transition test, because what is quite cool about this game is that it's like a Diablo 2-like map system. So you can have a couple of different maps, predefined segments of a map, let's say, and they are then randomly chosen like in Diablo 2, and they are then added to the complete map. So in the background, there is a so-called dungeon map, which stores all the different map segments, and currently there would be just one segment. If we now leave this map segment to the right, you see there's a cool transition. The new segment gets centered to the bottom left again. And since we entered from the left, we are now also on the, since we left on the right side, we are now on the left side of the new map. And this is a new map segment. And this was a test if it works in all the different directions with the map transition and everything. When we would go back, so just there, then it would actually reload the previous segment and not create a new map segment. And with that, I can actually have an endless random generated map, which is not these, how is it called when, like in Minecraft, where you have these really randomly created maps. I don't like those a lot, to be honest. I prefer this Diablo 2-like map systems where you have predefined segments, where you put your love into it, into the details, and then they are then just chosen randomly and put together to an interesting random map. So that was one part that was added to the game and which is already working. The second thing was that I added a shader. I always wanted to try that out. A dissolve shader, which basically, let's start it, which erases or removes a sprite in a very cool way. So as you can see it here, the sprite is split up into different fragments, let's say, or pixels, we can say it like that. And I also scale the sprite. And then as you see it here, it then disappears slowly over time. And also in this test class, it's basically an endless loop between the disappearing and then the reappearing of an entity. And that was a cool shader that I implemented. It's not based on my own knowledge. So there was a YouTube video where someone in Godot, I think Godot 3, if I remember correctly, he was implementing a shader like that. And I just translated it to libgdx. I think I fixed one or two issues that I had with his shader. And that was basically it. So if you're interested, there is a dissolve fragment, which is the important part of that shader. The vertex shader is just the default one from the sprite patch. But the fragment shader here is documented as well, what it's doing. And as mentioned, so basically you tell a sprite, so how many fragments should it have? So do you want to, you split it up into a grid. So should it be 16 by 16 or 100 or by 100? And then for every fragment of the sprite, you will see then this dot disappearing as we have seen it before. And there the important part is, there should be a step function. I don't have highlighting because I don't have the plugin yet installed for the fragment shader stuff. But yeah, with this step function, basically, I pass dissolve information, which is a value between 0 and 1. And based on that, there will be a hard cut between the center of this grid fragment pixel that we have seen before. And if the real pixel that is drawn, if it's too far away from this center pixel, with the step functionality, which always returns a value between 0 and 1, it's then either a pixel which is still drawn or a pixel that is not drawn. So that's basically the magic behind that shader. And with that, you see, or you get that effect that we have seen before, which I liked a lot. I will use that most likely in one of my future games as well. And finally, the tiled-based movement, which I also wanted to implement once again in my lifetime. So this is the player, then there are different enemies already in the game, and whenever the player moves, then the enemies are also reacting to that, and currently they are just moving randomly. So there I wanted to add different movement, like I think in Lufia 2 as well, so one enemy which is just moving alongside the walls, then one enemy which is maybe just walking in circles, one who is aiming towards the player and things like that. But that one I never finished. That's just a comment somewhere in the code base. Right now they are just reacting to whatever whenever the player is moving. And what I also added, they don't collide with each other. So for example, this skeleton will not move upwards if there is another enemy already at that tiled. And the movement, as you also see, is always tiled based. So I move from one tile to the other one. I don't stop somewhere in between. And the shader is also here taking effect. So when I collide with an enemy, that would trigger the combat. That was the idea behind that. Currently, it's just when I collide with them, they are disappearing with that dissolve shader that we have seen before. So that's quite a cool effect in my opinion. Okay, and besides the tests, there is of course the game itself, but as mentioned, there is nothing finished yet. I think it's what it's doing, if I remember correctly, it chooses a random map. What I added is I added some chests that you cannot loot at the moment. I added some coins that you can pick up. So there's also an effect when you are picking up coins, and also keys there. I wanted to add some doors for which you need special keys, a gold key and a silver key. The combats then, of course, and below there you see the chests, which I cannot collide with them, so I cannot go over them. The idea was that I would loot them when the player moves towards them. And I think the normal maps just have two segments. So the start segment, which does not have a ladder, and then like a target segment, which has a ladder. And when you reach the ladder, then you will finish the dungeon, get all the bonus stuff and everything, but that is also not implemented. So there you can just walk over it. What is implemented, as a little bit mentioned before, is this random map generation, and also it remembers the states between the different segments. So in this segment, that's the one from before, there we picked up all the keys. There was just one enemy left and the silver key, but everything else was already picked up or killed. So that state information is also kept between the different segments. So those things were working. And yeah, as mentioned, it's just a proof of concept. I will never finish that. But for some of you, it might be interesting to check out certain code pieces here and there. Okay, and finally, what I want to mention is then the month of March. So as mentioned, I want to do for sure the IntelliJ productivity videos, shorts, most likely. But I'm also interested in making a platformer again. So they already picked out some assets, and I want to do a little platformer. Most likely not in a tutorial series. So most likely it will be just some live streams where I'm developing that. But I wanted to ask how we should do that. So would you be interested if I do that still with libgdx and Kotlin and everything? So everything that we already know, but just this time we make a platformer game. Or should we use one of these many game frameworks which are out there? So for example, the Unreal Engine or Unity or Godot, which I would also be interested to try it out at least once in my life so that I know what they are and how they work and yeah, how they behave and things like that. So we could also do that. So maybe Godot, I think, is a very good engine for 2D games and for platformers maybe. So that would work as well. Or the third option would be, I think it's called Corgi or Corge. I don't know how to pronounce it. This Kotlin game engine, where also one guy initially with the FLEKS project, he was helping a lot. And there was this multi-platform branch in parallel. Nowadays, we have merged them together. So FLEKS is already Kotlin multi-platform compatible. And yeah, so that would be the third option. So either the GDX stuff, there I'm pretty sure that we could finish the platformer in those about 3 weeks, because there I'm confident and know already everything inside out. With Godot and Corge, I'm not sure if we can finish it, but still it would be interesting to see how other frameworks work and yeah, how they work and how to use them. Good, and that would be it. It's just a short update video and a little bit of a spoiler for you that something in March is happening. I will make most likely a video again, or maybe this, how's it called, this blog post on YouTube before I start with the streaming sessions then in March. So I'll let you know. Good, then. Wish you a good start into the next week, and bye-bye.